I'm Mo. It is time to do a tag. I was tagged by Just the Book Freak in the Why Haven't I Read These Books Yet tag. This one, I don't remember who started it, but I will link Jess and the originator of this tag in the comments down below. The first question is, why haven't I read this classic yet? For all these book answers, I'm going to be pulling off my actual TBR, except for this first one, I'm going to be pulling it off of my red shelf because this isn't technically on my current TBR, but why haven't I read Ray Bradbury's The Martian Chronicles yet? I like Ray Bradbury. I've read 3 or 4 of his books, my favorite being Fahrenheit 451, and as we all know, I like vintage sci-fi. This is one of the true classics and one that I would have thought that I would have gotten to in my youth, but I have never read. Why haven't I? I'm just not sure. One day I hope to get to this and share my thoughts, and I'd love to see Jess read this one as well, because I know she is a big Ray Bradbury fan, but also hasn't read The Martian Chronicles. Question number 2 is, why haven't I read this fiction book yet? I'm going to say Love by Toni Morrison. Now, I could pick any Toni Morrison book. I read my first Toni Morrison last year in 2021, and that was Sula, and I loved it. I thought it was amazing, and it really started me on the hunt to find and read Black female authors from the Americas, so I am surprised that I haven't read any more Toni Morrison yet. I just saw CJ Reads do a review for Love, and it sounded amazing, about a Black man who makes his fame and fortune through a seaside resort. Does that sound perfect or what? The next question is, why haven't I read this nonfiction yet? A nonfiction that I'm hoping to get to in November is The Cat Who Went to Paris by Peter Gellers. This is a story of, I think, a rescue cat going to Paris. I imagine that this book is quite dated. It was written in 1991. I have a feeling there's going to be some problematic elements for some reason with this author. I have this book and its sequel, and I would love to get to this short nonfiction about a cat's adventure in Paris. Question number 4 is, why haven't I read this genre book yet? I am going to pick a mystery thriller, In My Dreams I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. This was on my summer TBR this year. When I found it in a little free library earlier this year, I was super excited to get to it, so I'm surprised I haven't read this buzzy thriller just yet. I think this takes place in 2 timelines with groups of friends returning to college where something terrible once happened. Question number 5 is, why haven't I read the book that's been on my TBR shelf the longest? And although I have a lot of old books on my TBR, I'm going to go with And Then Another Thing by Eoin Colfer. This is a approved sequel, the 6th in the trilogy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. This supposedly takes place right after Mostly Harmless and picks up where Douglas Adams left off. Now, this is a book that I kind of know why I haven't read yet in many respects. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy of 5 books is my favorite of all time, and I know that this book, not written by Douglas Adams, is not going to live up to my expectations of those books. It also takes place after a book that Douglas Adams wrote because he wanted to be done with the trilogy, so it's really picking up on a story that he wasn't interested to tell. So that's definitely part of why I haven't picked it up. And also just because, you know, it's definitely the end of the Hitchhiker's Guide universe. So it's hard for me to see that universe end, even though it really did end with Mostly Harmless because that was what Douglas Adams wanted. The last question is to tag some people. I know a lot of people have done this tag. I think Aaron's done this tag, and Criminali, and Fred. So I really don't know who hasn't done this tag. It's a little bit of an older one, but if you haven't done this tag and you're interested in doing it, definitely feel free to leave your answers in the comments below, or to make your own video and let us know about it. Those are all the books that I don't know why I haven't read yet. Thanks so much for joining me today, and thanks to Jess for tagging me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!